There was a movie that came out. Will Smith and Gene Hackman, Enemy of the State. One of my favorite Will Smith movies. And basically the essence of the movie talked about the more dependent you are on technology, the greater control they have over your life. And yes, I do believe they're running experiments with social media. They're running experiments with cable TV. They're running experiments with social media because they have to make sure that in the event of a disaster, man-made disaster that is, that they can control the population in the direction that they want them to go into. I think one of the biggest weaknesses we as Black people have, or one of the biggest mistakes we're making, is we're overly dependent on internet and social media for communication. If something is happening in Nashville, the only way I know about it is through social media or CNN. That's a problem because that means Black people have no way of knowing what's happening with other Black people around the world unless white people tell them. So we're completely at the mercy of the Caucasian power structure to find out what's happening with other people. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans back in 2010, I want to say, somewhere around there. It was like 2005, I'm sorry. 2005. The only way we knew is because it was put on the white man's TV. If it wasn't put on the white man's TV, how would we know? Right now in Memphis, how do we know that the police ain't going door to door killing Black folks? We don't. And the only way we would know is if the white man told us. So I think one of our weaknesses is we don't have a mass communication system of our own. And that makes us sitting ducks.
How can we fix that? What other types of communication can we
We should have our own social media, just like China. When I was in China, the Chinese children, they're not allowed to use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. There's no social media. They have one social media system in China. It's the only one you can use. So what I had to do was I had to get a VPN and break through the cloud and do whatever to get into my social media, because they understand that if we want to control the way Chinese children think, because the Chinese are prepping for global domination. You understand? Because we're prepping for global domination, we need to make sure our children are consumed with the idea of global domination. We can have them distracted with video games and distracted with this. And to that point, the Chinese passed a law that said children can only play, I believe it's 3 hours of video games a week, and they got to be on the weekend. And if they catch you playing more than that, they will fine your parents or take you from your family. That's how serious they are, because the Chinese have a very serious agenda about taking over the world, and they don't see anybody stopping them. Neither do I. Black people have no such agenda. We have no collective imperative right now. What are we working towards as a people? Nothing, because we're disorganized and we're comfortable in our disorganization, which is why I would say that one of the greatest achievements of slavery has been that it snatched from us the natural God-given desire to control your own reality. Control is a natural requirement of the ego. People don't feel comfortable when they're not in control. You feel me? No, if a man don't feel in control of his house, he feels some kind of way. If a woman don't feel in control of her children, she feels some kind of way. If the child don't feel in control of their room and their toys, they feel some kind of way. So if the ego requires control as an ingredient for stability and healthy psychology, why are Black people so comfortable having no control over our community? Slavery took it from us, and we don't want to put it back. See, one of the contradictions of our reality in America, one of the reasons why we can't wake up from the psychosis we're in, is because we're enslaved by the most powerful white man on the planet. So that automatically means that a lot of us have difficulty recognizing we're enslaved, because the person in charge not only runs us, but runs most of the world too. In other words, why should I bother fighting back? Why should I bother pushing back? Why should I bother trying to create my own system? Because after all, even though I'm a second-class citizen, look who I am a second-class citizen to. Now, if we are being oppressed by a poor white man, it might be different. We might be ready to fight more. But because we're being oppressed by the USA white man, a lot of us think, hey, it might be better to be on the side of the slave master than the side of the slave.
Even the U.S. is falling, though.
Say that again.
Even the U.S. is falling in the.
We can't see that. Black people can't see that.
That's because they don't pick up a book or they don't do nothing but read headlines. But
true that. And we suffer from battered spouse syndrome. Yeah. In other words, if I beat my woman, if I control the way she thinks, if I have domestically abused her to the point of paranoia and trauma, right? She can see me cheating. She can see me abusing her. But guess what? Even though her body is registering the experience, I have brainwashed her so deeply that even when I'm beating her, she thinks I love her. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The white man has had sex with the black man's mind so deeply. He has romanced us to the point where we cannot see him or what he does for what it is. We are completely under a European hypnosis. And if we don't wake out of it, we may wake up and no longer be here. Because what the white man is doing now very cleverly, he's a very clever devil. What he's doing now is he's bringing all these immigrants into the country, and he's going to use the immigrants as a proxy to push us down. And I can see a situation where he will foment a clash between browns and blacks in this country as a pretext to a mass extermination of us. There's been reports that a lot of these migrants are coming over with guns. There's been reports that a lot of them have had training in the country they're coming from. And if you look at where they're sending the migrants, why you keep sending them to black communities? Why are you letting the governors of Florida and Texas fly these brown people to Chicago and New York, the two most crowded cities in America, and fly over Montana and fly over North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming? Ain't nothing but land. State empty as hell. Yeah. Why not put them somewhere where you got room? Yeah. You're squeezing them in with blacks because they're there to replace us, and if necessary, go to war against us. Black people need to be armed and ready, because as much as I hate to admit it, I think the white man is going to spark some sort of a conflict between us and them. You already see it in Illinois. The governor last year signed a law that made it legal for migrants to be police. Why are you allowed to be a police in a city that you don't know, can't speak English, you're not a citizen, and you don't even know the law, but you can lock people up? Yeah. You was in another country a few months ago. Now you in America locking up black people. That's going to lead to a clash. Yeah. They're putting us together because they see it as a powder keg. And when the clash happens, and I hope to God it don't, but we got to be realistic. If and when the clash happens, the white man can step back and say, we had nothing to do with this. This some brown black stuff. It's cultural. It ain't got nothing to do with us, even though you're the one who engineered the situation.